Hello, Neil.
Hi there, Petra. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Are you telling me I'm speaking to somebody in Ireland?
Well, you're speaking to an Irish person. I'm in London at the moment,
Oh,
but
I see. Okay.
I'm usually in Ireland. I'm usually in Dublin, but just happen to be in
Well,
London at the
I
moment.
love the Irish accent. And so far, all the Irish people I met were very nice people.
Yes, well, they are quite nice.
um, but it looks nice and sunny there. Is it a
It's
good day in London?
it's nice and sunny. It's a little bit cloudy today, and
Mm.
it's kind of that sort of humid weather all
Oh,
week in
okay.
London at the
Yeah.
moment. So you never really know what to sort of wear each day because
No.
it could be raining and then it could be really sunny. So actually the weather is a little bit more unpredictable at the moment than it usually is in Ireland.
Oh,
Of
I
course, in
see.
Ireland, we
Mm.
don't have a good reputation for weather.
Okay. Yeah, I remember I lived in the UK, and I remember we had summer on a Wednesday, for example. Then it was
Exactly.
yeah,
Which
yeah.
part of the UK did you live in?
Windsor.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was a
But so
lovely.
unpredictable. So weather is
Mm.
so unpredictable here.
So tell me about what you are doing at the moment. You're a pianist, and
Yes, I'm a
mm,
pianist, so I'm an accompanist mainly, which is so I do a lot of leader accompaniment
okay.
and art song. So I work with a lot of singers, sort of all over the place. Really, I work with a lot of singers based in Ireland, and a few based in Vienna because, of course, I used to live there for several years,
Mm.
and then a few singers also in the UK and even some singers further afield. I've worked with some American singers and so on.
Really?
So
Mm.
yeah, my main interest is art song, so German lead and English language art song and French melody.
Mm.
Um, so I really adore all of that repertoire, of course, and I suppose at the moment that's my main. Well, not right at the moment because everything's a little bit quiet
Oh.
with the pandemic, but at the moment that's sort of my main interest. But I also I also have done a lot of work as a conductor,
Oh, I
and
see. Mm.
so the last couple of years, I sort of took a step away from that to focus more on playing and doing leader recitals and building the repertoire and also recording. Um, but hopefully, in the next year or so, I will sort of be moving a little bit more back into conducting, which is
You're
very
conducting.
exciting.
Um, I have a thing for conductors, but
I
not
know because I watched some of your interviews with my colleagues from MDV.
no, not the way you think, but I I find it really fascinating how um, the idea for me of the whole orchestra and all these different sounds and different instruments, and really a conductor bringing it together as one sound. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
I find that fascinating, and also after speaking to a lot of conductors, um, how they do it, or how you do it. How
and everyone is so different as well.
yeah.
You know,
Mm,
I think probably the conductor. You're quite right. I mean, I think it is probably the most fascinating of all of the
mm,
different types of musician you can have. Um, you know, and I've often found myself really thinking about, well, what does it mean to be a conductor? What exactly is a conductor's role? What is
mm,
their job? What is their remit? And I suppose I don't think I've really ever come to a full conclusion about that, but I think a really good conductor is a facilitator,
mm,
and like you said, they're bringing all the instruments, if it's an orchestra, or voices if it's a choir, or if it's a work that combines both. It's bringing all these elements together and firstly, I suppose, finding a happy medium, but also then the challenge and I suppose the excitement really is to bring your own interpretation through that. So, but it really is, conductors are really fascinating, and the whole process of conducting and rehearsing and everything is really fascinating.
I almost get this feeling as if the orchestra picks up the energy of the conductor, you know, the type of uh, vibe that he puts out there. Because I've seen
Absolutely.
sometimes at the ballet, um, the different conductors, and you know, just looking at the orchestra, it's almost as if that they take that on, you know, that same type of vibe.
Absolutely, and I listened to an interview with the conductor a few years ago. I think it was John Elliott Gardner, and he said, you know, a conductor, if you think of the meaning of the word conduct, you know, it's to conduct, a conductor of electricity. So it's an energy transmitting from one source to another. And I never had, before that, I had never thought of a conductor from that, in that respect. But it's very true, really. And I often feel with conductors, I know I felt it myself when I'm on the podium, but also when I played in orchestras, you know, a conductor maybe has 30 seconds when they get up on the platform to make an impression and to sort of get the orchestra, chorus, whatever, on side. You know, a lot of decisions are by everyone sitting in the seats are made in the first 30 seconds, if even 30 seconds. So I think there's an awful lot of psychology involved in conducting, and a lot of you know, other things like body language and communication in so many different ways and means. You know, a conductor is a communicator, if nothing else, you know.
So was it the pandemic that then now changed a little bit the route for you into what you're doing at the moment? That you're playing
No,
more piano?
actually, that was about 5 years ago. I moved to Vienna. I was based in Ireland, and I was doing a lot of playing, and I was doing a lot of conducting, and I was doing a lot of choral conducting, a lot of and a lot of big works like, you know, Handel Messiah and Mozart C minor Mass and Carmina Burana and things like that. And I really enjoyed that. I really loved those projects. But I decided to move to Vienna and to study at the University of Music and Performing Arts, where I studied alongside people like Alexei Mikhailenko, who you were speaking to a few weeks ago.
Really? Yeah.
Yes, we were in the same class, and I went to study piano, though. So I studied piano in the conducting department with a magnificent teacher, Professor Barbara Moser, who I was just so lucky to study with and was such a great influence. So it was when I moved to Vienna, really, that the conducting really sort of, I just sort of, you know, put that aside, and I really focused on playing and, you know, learning the repertoire, the leader repertoire, really. So all the, you know, the Schubert song cycles and, you know, all these wonderful composers. And for me, it was such a thrill to learn about that and explore that. I mean, I had done a lot of this repertoire before in Ireland, but for me, it was a real thrill to learn it and explore it and, you know, become familiar, even more familiar with it in Vienna, where, I mean, Schubert was born, lived, and died in Vienna, and all of the greats went through that city. So it was really, I felt there was a real authenticity about music and the city, and it was a complete thrill. So and then, you know, as life goes, you just follow whatever the route is in front of you. So it was mainly playing, and then of course the pandemic just sort of stopped everything, really.
But now the leader, what is the fascination there? How did you decide on that?
Oh my God.
Or how did it come about that it was that you wanted to
You know,
So,
a couple of things. I always wanted to be an accompanist. I mean,
okay.
I don't know if we're allowed to use this word accompanist anymore. I still use it, but
Oh,
you know,
really? Why?
they like to call it collaborative pianist, which
Oh, I
is, you
see.
know, a lovely
Yeah.
term as well. But I prefer the word accompanist,
Yeah, that's a
or
nice word.
song accompanist, or pianist, whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
it's all the same. But I always wanted to be accompanist. Never was interested in solo piano
Oh, okay.
repertoire, and I loved singers. Probably the same way you're fascinated by conductors, I'm fascinated by singers.
Mm.
So and I sang a lot myself over the years and studied singing. So for me, it was really just that was the main thing. But then when I discovered the genre of the lead, I was just completely drawn to it. You know, I think because, you know, they're these miniature pieces. You know, you might have a lead by Hugo Wolf that is 2 pages, and it can be compositional perfection in 2 pages, and it is able to be compositionally perfect because it's so economic. You know, it's piano, singer, and text.
Mm.
You know, if you go and see an opera, you've got an orchestra, you've got soloists, you've got a chorus, and it's about 3 hours long. So obviously, in that, there's going to be high points and low points, and parts that are maybe a little bit weaker. But with a song like, you know, for example, that very famous song Morgan by Strauss, I mean, it's 2 pages, and it looks so simple on the page, but it's perfect, and
Mm.
that's really what attracted me, I think, to Leader, and then later on, and as I developed and I started doing more recitals and creating my own programs and creating programs with singers, um, I really, and I still am really fascinated with this idea of, as recitalists, as leader recitalists, song recitalists, we can tell a story with
Mm.
with with the songs we choose, how we connect them, how we interlink them, um, and and you can really create something very new and interesting and thought provoking and entertaining and funny and witty, um, with lots of smaller elements that sort of
Mm.
connect together, and it's I don't know if I'm quite explaining that
Yeah,
well, but in my head it makes sense.
I don't know much about music, and also, you know, but my idea of the leader, it's almost as if it's really stripped down to just the simplicity, but like you say, very powerful. Then,
Yes,
you know.
and again, that is what makes it so powerful, is its simplicity. You know, it's music and
Mm.
words with a singer and a pianist.
But do leader have a specific a theme always, or is it just
Not
everything that?
not necessarily. I mean, I suppose that life in general, it
Oh,
runs
okay.
to, you know. I think in the German lead tradition, there's certainly a lot of, I suppose, tropes that you see a lot. So you see a lot, you know, about the wanderer. Of course, is a one that comes along a lot in a lot of different forms. And you have, of course, the famous Schubert song cycle Winterreise, of course, which is
Mm.
24 songs about this wanderer. And, you know, the wanderer pops up everywhere in German lieder, and, you know, of the 19th century in particular. But then you also have, you know, nature is such an important element. You know, Goethe, as a poet, he was obsessed with nature, and, you know, was really attuned to, you know, the earth and the planet, and that everything comes from that. So an awful lot of his poetry, which of course was later set to so many times to music, is about nature and about color, and there's so many subjects, and one actually that comes up quite a lot is women. And so I recently did a CD project that was released in March, called Schubert's Women. which was with an Austrian, a very, very talented Austrian mezzo-soprano, Claudia Tandl, and a very extremely talented and famous Austrian actress called Gabriele Jacobi. And she, of course, Claudia sang Lieder with me, and Gabriele read poems. And the theme of the CD, of course, Schubert's Women, is these different, different aspects of the female persona and the human experience of women. So there was lots of different kind of sides there. There was flirtation, there was innocence, there was sort of the desolation, and also the mistreatment of women, and it was really wonderful. When I devised that program, I really wanted to show lots of different sides. I didn't want to just show the desolate side of Mignon. I wanted to show women who were flirtatious, and women who were seductive, and femme fatale kind of thing. So I hope we got across a lot of different, but I mean, as I said earlier, the sort of range of emotions and subject matter in Lieder can be as varied as life itself. And I think we have to, as performers and as audience members, we also have to, just be aware that just because these are songs maybe from the 19th century doesn't mean that they're not still relevant to today.
Oh, yeah. But do you then, in this instance, do you, I don't know what the right word is, but do you coach then your singer? So how you want it to be interpreted?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the singer. That's very different from singer to singer. I mean, certainly when I work with Claudia on the Schubert's Women CD, Claudia is a native German speaker. It's her mother tongue. So, and I mean, I have some German, and I can speak German, but I'm not fluent mother tongue German speaker. So obviously Claudia really gets nuances in the language that I don't. No matter how hard you try, obviously a native speaker will always understand it on a deeper level. So with Claudia, I don't I don't coach on the text in that sense, but there is a lovely dialogue between us both, about phrasing and about tempo and sort of mood and feel and character and dynamics, and I think that's always very lovely when there's a two-way dialogue. It's always more fun than if you have a singer and you're saying, like I'm saying, well, I think it should be this way, I think it should be this way. I really love when it's a two-way thing, and perhaps they comment on something in my part, in the piano part, and say, well, maybe you can bring that out. I love that that dialogue. It's really exciting.
I've been to a few Liederabend performances, or what you say, but what I find very fascinating is this look that the pianist and the singer give to each other before they start. This sort of a nod or a smile or something like that. This connection. And this is probably what you're saying. And I'm thinking now while you're talking also that this is probably where this comes from. This working together and this understanding of what it's two people now being creative and putting together these two artistic qualities that you have then.
Yes, and like it's incredibly intimate work. I mean, the lead genre is incredibly intimate anyway, but it is very intimate, and an awful lot of the so much of the communication, even in rehearsal, is unspoken. So and there are the when you go out on stage, well, when anybody goes out on stage, I mean, it's incredibly exposing. But when you go out on stage with the singer or I suppose when a singer goes out on stage with a pianist, there is that sense of real partnership, and it is absolutely a team, and you're in it together. So yes, there is all of this, as you said, this non-verbal communication on the stage. You know, the look, or it could be just a smile, or every now and then the singer might turn into the piano and give a little wink or something, and that's lovely. It's one of the wonderful extras as part of the performance. It's sort of all part of the enjoyment.
But also what I talk a lot about is the communication between the artist and the audience. And I've brought this subject up in the series that I did in Moments in Lockdown, because I was all the time, I was photographing the artists in the windows and speaking and hearing. I was always thinking, wow, this is so amazing to talk to you, to talk to artists and to hear their perspective on things, and also to hear them talk about music, for example. And I was wondering also if this is something that's sometimes missing in a performance. I'm not talking about an opera, but I'm talking about something like that, for example, Liederabend or a Lieder program, where there's maybe communication and maybe talking about what is being sung. Like you've studied the music, so you've studied really the real intricate little details, and you've probably discovered a lot of things by studying the music, but that the audience could also benefit from hearing that, and that the audience will also then listen in a different way to the music than just seeing on the program what the title is and then listening to the lyrics or the words.
I think communicating to the audience, like speaking to the audience, is really important, and I do it a lot. I run a series in Ireland called Irish Songmakers, and it's a series across the year, and we do, maybe I think for the past maybe 5 years we've done a series of 4 concerts every year, and usually I devise the programs and I choose the singers, and I create the programs, and most of the time I also introduce the songs, or I introduce the program or whatever. And I think, and actually for me, that's really, I feel, in a way, my only connection to the audience, because I feel I usually connect, my connection is to the singer, and then of course the singer I feel connects to the audience. I mean, I always feel I'm never really aware of the audience when I'm playing, but I do get up and speak about the music, or about the program, or about the text, or about the sort of the rationale behind the program, and I give a background. And I think it's really important. I think audiences really like it. I'm not saying they like it when I do it, but audience like it in general when performers are able to speak and share their thoughts. It's something that I've sort of really, it's been a journey with me. I mean, I think I probably was terrified of doing it when I started, but now I really enjoy doing it, and I'm certainly not afraid of it. And I feel it's something I always think of with these Irish Songmakers programs. Well, how am I going to introduce that section, or what do I need to say here to set that up? And I think it just gives another dimension for the audience. I think it is important.
But listen, now on a lighter note, do you have a pre-performance ritual, or what do you do before a performance?
Oh God, panic. No, I don't. I actually don't get nervous. I never get nervous.
Okay.
I get excited. I mean, I always, I think I used to get nervous a few years ago when, like maybe 10 years ago, when I was, before I felt I was really well prepared. I only ever got nervous when I felt I wasn't prepared.
Mm.
And thankfully now when I go out on stage, I'm well prepared, and I know I'm well prepared. And I know that, you know, nothing is going to go, you know, too badly wrong. So that was when I got nervous. Pre-performance rituals. Well, with Irish songmakers, because I sort of am presenting those concerts, when those concerts happen in Dublin, I'm literally running around all morning. They're always lunchtime concerts, and I'm running around all morning, organizing programs, organizing, you know, with the box office, setting things up. So that's all a bit, and then squeezing in a rehearsal somewhere. So that's always a bit manic. So usually 10 minutes before the performance, I'm, you know, in my dressing room, getting into my suit, you know, just trying to calm myself. But pre-performance
So the
rituals.
performance is then actually the relaxation for
It
you.
is, it is. And I found that so many times that, you know, if I've been stressed or whatever, when I sit down at the piano to play, I don't have to worry about anything. Whatever else is happening, whatever other dramas are going on, I just have to play, and that's all I have to do. That's all I have to be. But I don't. I'm sorry to disappoint you that I don't have a ritual, but I do always am aware of this thing. There's a famous dancer, Broadway star dancer, and singer actress who actually died in December. Her name was Anne Reinking, and she's a big idol of mine because I also really adore musicals and musical theatre. But she spoke in interviews about this thing. She called it the lethal 10 minutes. And she said, you know, it can be 10 minutes, it can be an hour, it can be 10 seconds. And it's that moment of realization where you're terrified and you realize you have to go on stage. I am aware of that. You know, I do, there's always a moment, you know, just before I'm waiting to go on, where it is kind of your body just gets a bolt of fear. Now, usually with me, it's very, very short, and and I you know, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the performance, whatever. But yeah, I am aware that always arrives at some point. But I suppose when you're busy, you know, doing the sort of behind the scenes thing to get a concert on, it means you don't really have to worry so much about, you know.
Probably, yeah. Then the time goes by and you're just
Yeah,
busy and you don't
yeah.
think too much about it.
But I suppose, yeah, my pre-performance ritual would be keeping busy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then do you have a specific shoes that you play in? Because I've heard from a pianist also that the shoes have to be comfy.
That's interesting. I don't. I have a few. I don't have an awful lot of shoes. So I've got maybe 3 or 4 pairs of concert shoes that I wear, depending on what I'm wearing, but not a specific pair of shoes. I'm not too fussy about that. In recent years, I've found that wearing a shirt sometimes for a leader concert is just a little bit you know, restricting. So I often used to wear just a jacket with a top underneath. But I've kind of gotten back into wearing shirts again, and shirts and tie.
What do you mean a top? Just
a black top underneath a suit.
And the jacket is not restricting for you?
No, not so much. But I sometimes found it with the shirt and the tie a little bit restricting. But actually, I've gotten back into the shirt and tie. A couple of the things I've done this year, film things. So yeah, but it's always nice to sort of mix it up, and that's you know, part of it.
So you don't have a specific concert outfit, shall I say?
No. I like to mix it up. I mean, I don't have any really wild wild style, but yeah, I like to mix up. I have a few different suits and I have a few different jackets, and I think that's always fun. With the Irish songmakers concerts I do, they are often, well, actually often there are photographers at concerts, or concerts are filmed. So it's nice to have a little bit of variety. So you're not all the time photographed in the same jacket or the same tie or something.
It can start being your trademark
Yes, well,
jacket or whatever.
that could be
Yeah.
an idea. Yes, but it's interesting. With going back to conductors, and it's interesting to look at what conductors wear. Because sometimes it's the tucks and the tails, and sometimes it's the kind of the mandarin collar, the straight collar, and that's always kind of fun when I've been conducting. I've got a few jackets that I might wear when I'm conducting that I wouldn't necessarily wear when I'm playing. So, but yeah, it's kind of.
But don't you find that the jackets then also a bit restricting?
Well, yeah, I mean, it depends. I have a lovely jacket which actually is kind of quite stretchy, and it's a really unusual jacket. It looks like tails, but the tails are kind of at the front, and it's very nicely fitted and cut. But actually, the material has a wonderful stretch, and I liked it so much I bought two. So I have those. I've conducted a few times in those, and because it has this stretch, if you're doing a very big gesture, it's not restricting.
But listen, this was now so lovely to talk to you.
So lovely to chat to you, and thank you for having me on your series.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful that you were willing to talk and talk about this. It's so interesting to talk about the leader. And I actually photographed a couple in the window, and they sang. I always asked if they wanted to sing something, because I made then these little videos. And this couple was, I think he was a bass baritone, and she was actually a pianist, but she also sang a little bit. And then they agreed to sing together. But what was so lovely was that he let her choose the song, because she's not really the singer. He's really the singer, but he let her choose the song, and then they sang. But how he looked at her sometimes, that to see if she's okay and doing it.
Yeah.
It's so lovely. And they sang a Schubert song, and I don't know the song, but it's something with May, something about May coming again. About
the first song from Dichterliebe. Da, 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 da. I won't try and sing. Die wunderschönen Monat Mai.
Yeah. What is that?
Yeah, so beautiful.
But yeah, if you have time, go and look on my Instagram. I posted it there. Yes. Yeah.
Great.
They are such a lovely couple. That is really such a special was a special little window concert that they did. Yeah. I loved it.
I mean, that is the joy of music, and it's the joy of song in general. And I don't just mean leader, I mean song, whatever. Like song is part of all of our lives, whether it's popular song, whether it's jazz standards, whatever. Song is just so much part of our lives, and so much part of how we express ourselves, and so much part of how we communicate, and so much part of our memories as well. So,
and it's interesting that you say that, because I've been also talking a lot to South African singers, and ballet dancers as well, but the singers specifically. And they all started in a choir and in school at a young age, and that choir and that singing gave them almost a different life. The discipline of it, and I mean, they all talk about this. How that gave them a way out of the situation that they found themselves in, because it's they lived in the townships and so on. And you think that it is so basic. Well, I say basic, but it's not. You don't have to buy something to sing. You just have to.
I mean,
sing,
and everybody has a voice. Yeah. Everybody has a voice, and I mean, singing is more than just about, and choral singing in particular, is more than just about making a great sound or making great music or whatever. That also happens. But
Yeah.
it really is about coming together,
Mm.
sharing an experience. And I often found as a conductor, a choral conductor, you don't really fully know the benefit of the
Mm.
experience to the people in the choir,
Mm.
because the benefits to everybody are so different. It's really wonderful. Choral singing, I think, is really wonderful. I think everybody should sing in a choir at some point in their lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think
I
it's,
sang in a choir when I was a child, so I know. Yeah,
oh,
it
yeah,
was
but
a, it was, yeah, it was such a lovely experience, and our, you know, it's almost as if we still know each other, and we still, you know, I still know who was with me in this choir, and
mm,
it was a
it's
lovely
an intensely
experience.
bonding experience. It
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
really is. And it's the absolute, you know, it's complete teamwork. When you're
Mm.
singing in a choir, it's absolute teamwork.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I'm a big fan of choirs, and I'm very much looking forward to a time when choirs are really able to get back singing
Yeah.
again.
But whenever you are back in Vienna, you have to
Yeah,
give
I
me a
hope it will
call
be
so we can
soon.
grab a
Yes,
coffee.
I look
Yeah.
forward to that, Petra.
And then keep me updated when something happens that you would like to talk about, and you know, new projects and things. Then we can, because I would love to follow what you do. Yeah.
I will do, yes. And particularly if they're conducting projects as well, we'll have some very
Yes.
interesting
Yes.
conversations. Yes, well, thank you so much for chatting today. It's been a real
No,
pleasure.
I thank you, and have a lovely afternoon.
You too. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.